Hello friends. What really happens when a grounded Taurus meets a detail-driven Virgo in the realm of love? Are they a match written in the stars, or are they too earthbound to ever take flight? If you've ever wondered how a Taurus man clicks with a Virgo woman, or how a Virgo man dances through life with a Taurus woman by his side, you're about to get some crystal-clear answers. Let's unpack one of the zodiac's most steady and fascinating combinations: Taurus and Virgo, Earth meets Earth. On paper, they look like a dream, practical, loyal, and deeply committed. But as we all know, love is more than shared values. It's about chemistry, communication, and the little things that either spark a flame or snuff it out. Chemistry: initial attraction. At first glance, there's something unmistakably magnetic between Taurus and Virgo, but don't expect fireworks or impulsive confessions of love. No, this isn't the stuff of rom-coms or tabloid romances. Instead, their attraction blooms like a rose in spring, steady, natural, and entirely authentic. Both Taurus and Virgo belong to the earth element, which gives them a shared foundation of practicality, realism, and an almost sacred reverence for stability. But their styles of attraction are markedly different in texture. Taurus exudes sensuality, patience, and calm strength, while Virgo emanates intelligence, precision, and a kind of elegant restraint. Somehow, when these two energies meet, they click, not loudly, but permanently. For a Taurus man, the allure of a Virgo woman lies in her poise. She's not flashy or flirtatious. She's self-contained, articulate, and has a command of herself that makes others take notice. While she might not dominate a room, she commands it through presence, through sharp glances, perfect posture, and her constant awareness of what's happening around her. The Taurus man, ruled by Venus, is naturally attracted to beauty, but not superficial beauty. He's drawn to what's classic, refined, enduring. And that's exactly what he sees in Virgo. Her intelligence shines quietly but unmistakably, and for someone who needs to feel emotionally and practically safe in love, the Virgo woman becomes an instant focal point. Virgo, in turn, is initially cautious. She doesn't fall in love easily, she evaluates. But that's precisely why Taurus captures her attention. He doesn't push, he doesn't rush, he doesn't need validation. His stillness is rare in a world full of noise, and for Virgo, who is often overstimulated by details and internal dialogue, that calmness is almost hypnotic. The Taurus man doesn't boast, he delivers. He keeps his word. He listens without interruption, and when he acts, it's with deliberation. Virgo notices these things, catalogs them, and slowly begins to trust what she sees. That trust becomes the root of her interest, and eventually, of her affection. Now let's reverse the roles and take a look at the Virgo man and Taurus woman. The Virgo man is incredibly observant. He notices what others don't, the way the Taurus woman moves slowly through a room, grounded and unshakable. He sees how she pays attention to texture, comfort, and physical space. Virgo is drawn to excellence and consistency, and few embody that like a Taurus woman. She doesn't try to be anyone else, she simply is. Her presence feels rich, earthy, and rooted in a way that Virgo craves but rarely experiences. To him, she's not just attractive, she's real, and real is everything to Virgo. The Taurus woman, for her part, finds something deeply reassuring in the Virgo man's presence. He doesn't just talk, he thinks. And when he does speak, his words are chosen with care. She finds his dedication to improvement, of himself, of his environment, of the relationship itself, immensely attractive. While others may view Virgo's meticulousness as critical, she sees it as devotion. He's not trying to control her, he's trying to understand her. And that difference is profound. She recognizes the depth of his thought, the way he reflects before reacting, and the way he always wants to do right by others. That combination of morality and intelligence is something she instinctively respects. But what truly binds them at the onset isn't just admiration, it's safety. Neither Taurus nor Virgo enjoys emotional chaos or romantic unpredictability. They're not impulsive signs, and they don't gamble with their hearts. What they create together is a space that feels different, a kind of sanctuary from the emotional turbulence that defines many modern relationships. They take their time, they build trust brick by brick, and in doing so, they forge a foundation that's nearly impossible to replicate with other signs. Their initial attraction is also rooted in shared values. Both Taurus and Virgo care deeply about integrity, loyalty, and a life that makes sense. They're planners, they're organizers, and while that might not sound romantic on the surface, it absolutely is, because what's more romantic than finding someone who wants to build a future with you, not just flirt with you for a few months? In social settings, this couple might not immediately draw attention. They're not dramatic or overly affectionate in public, but those who observe them closely notice the quiet way they orbit around each other, the stolen glances, the consistent presence, the subtle alignment of energy. Their chemistry isn't showy, it's magnetic in a way that feels timeless. It's the kind of bond that grows stronger in silence, in small shared rituals, in private jokes that no one else hears. Even the way they flirt is understated. A Taurus man might offer a warm but low-key compliment. A Virgo woman may remember something he said weeks ago and bring it up in passing, revealing how closely she was listening. These moments, though small, are charged with meaning. There's an unspoken agreement between them. I see you. I value you. And I'm not going anywhere. That mutual understanding forms the beginning of something long-lasting. On the more subtle level, Taurus and Virgo often recognize each other's essence before they even speak. It's an intuitive sense, an inner knowing. They might cross paths at work, in a bookstore, at a mutual friend's dinner, and something clicks. Not in a thunderclap way, but in a, why do I feel like I've known this person forever, kind of way. Their connection often has a past life energy, calm, familiar, grounding. It's not about adrenaline, it's about alignment. That's why this pairing often begins as a friendship. They take their time, they explore each other's minds before touching each other's bodies. There's respect, caution, and a strong emphasis on emotional safety. And when they do finally move toward romance, it's already rooted in something deeply authentic. It doesn't feel like the beginning, it feels like coming home. In the end, the chemistry between Taurus and Virgo is like rare earth, quietly powerful, immensely valuable, and only understood by those who take the time to dig deep. It may take longer to surface than other pairings, but when it does, it's the kind of bond that doesn't fade. It evolves, it endures, and it reminds us that the strongest connections are not always the loudest. They're the ones built slowly, intentionally, and with unwavering respect. Emotional dynamics. Now, here's where things get really interesting, not because Taurus and Virgo are emotionally explosive, but because their emotional style is layered, quiet, and deeply misunderstood by the outside world. These two earth signs don't wear their hearts on their sleeves. They don't fall into love blindly, and they definitely don't broadcast their feelings in grand romantic gestures. Instead, their emotional lives unfold like an old love letter, slow to open, but full of meaning once explored. Taurus, ruled by Venus, is emotionally rich, though often underestimated. This is a sign that feels in the body, through comfort, touch, consistency, and environment. Emotions are rarely verbalized spontaneously. Instead, a Taurus shows love through presence, staying when it's hard, making your favorite meal after a tough day, fixing the door that creaks because they know it bothers you. For Taurus, emotional depth is built through action. They are loyal, they are steady, and they measure emotional commitment not by intensity, but by longevity. On the other hand, Virgo, ruled by Mercury, processes feelings through a lens of mental logic and discernment. This doesn't mean they're cold, far from it. Virgo is deeply caring, but their first instinct is always to assess, to analyze, to interpret. When a Virgo feels love, it rarely comes out as, I love you. Instead, it comes in the form of practical help, fixing your calendar, researching your health symptoms, proofreading your big presentation. Virgo expresses emotion by making your life easier, by removing chaos, by solving problems. Their love is quiet, but relentless. When a Taurus man partners with a Virgo woman, these two emotional styles can either clash, or complement each other in a powerful, symbiotic way. He may sometimes wish she'd step away from the constant need to figure things out emotionally. Virgo women tend to replay conversations in their heads, looking for hidden meanings or signs of emotional shifts. To Taurus, who sees love as a straightforward act of loyalty and presence, this can feel like unnecessary turbulence. He may retreat, not out of lack of feeling, but from overwhelm. The Virgo woman, in turn, may feel unsure or anxious when Taurus doesn't verbally reaffirm his feelings. She may question his silence, interpret his steadiness as emotional detachment, when in reality, it's the opposite. But here's the beauty. Once they recognize these emotional languages as valid, just different, their dynamic transforms. The Virgo woman begins to trust his silence, reading his consistency as devotion. And the Taurus man begins to understand that communication, even analytical in nature, is Virgo's way of seeking connection. He doesn't have to become a poet, he just needs to answer her questions sincerely, to meet her halfway in words as much as in deeds. In the reverse pairing, Virgo man and Taurus woman, the story shifts slightly, but the core remains the same. The Virgo man is emotionally observant but reserved. He tends to show love by supporting, advising, and improving. He may not offer flowery sentiments, but he will remember the smallest details about your day. He'll show up when no one else does, with a solution in one hand and your favorite snack in the other. That's Virgo love, meticulous, consistent, and deeply humble. The Taurus woman, by contrast, is more attuned to the emotional body. She expresses love through warmth, physical closeness, and caretaking. She might stroke your hair when you're tired or simply sit in silence with you until your anxiety calms. She doesn't need to talk about every feeling, she feels them and assumes you do too. This can sometimes confuse the Virgo man, who needs more verbal clarification. He may crave a clearer emotional roadmap, while she assumes he can sense what's in her heart just by how she's being. Yet, when aligned, this combination is beautiful. The Taurus woman becomes the emotional ground Virgo didn't know he needed. Someone who doesn't rush, doesn't judge, and doesn't need to fix everything. And Virgo becomes the mental clarity she didn't know she craved. Someone who helps her articulate the feelings she often holds too quietly. Together, they balance feeling and thought, body and mind. Both signs have deep emotional loyalty, but they arrive at it differently. Taurus anchors their emotions in physical continuity. They need time, routine, a sense of grounded partnership. Virgo, meanwhile, seeks emotional understanding through constant learning and improvement. They want to know what makes their partner tick, not to control them, but to serve them better. This creates a dynamic where emotional security grows stronger with time. The longer they're together, the more they understand each other's rhythms. That said, emotional friction can still arise. Virgo's tendency to critique, even when it's well-intentioned, can wound Taurus, who may interpret it as rejection. Virgo may say, "You could have handled that better," and Taurus might hear, "You failed me." And Taurus's stubborn silence can be maddening to Virgo, who wants clarity, progress, feedback. If left unchecked, this can become a loop. Virgo pushes for communication, Taurus retreats further, Virgo pushes harder, and the cycle intensifies. But here's the difference between this couple and more volatile pairings: they want to fix it. Neither is emotionally reckless. Both value peace, maturity, and resolution. If they commit to understanding rather than changing each other, their emotional connection deepens in breathtaking ways. They become attuned, not just to what the other says, but what they mean. Another key emotional element between Taurus and Virgo is shared respect for privacy. These two signs are not dramatic. They don't fight publicly. They rarely vent their relationship issues to friends. Instead, they hold the relationship close, treating it like something sacred and private. This creates a sense of intimacy that isn't always loud but is profoundly strong. When they do experience emotional challenges, they prefer to resolve them quietly, thoughtfully, and without external influence. Trust is huge for both signs. Once broken, it's hard to repair, but they are incredibly loyal when trust is nurtured carefully. They build their emotional home brick by brick, moment by moment. Small gestures matter. a text saying, "Drive safe," a note in your lunch, a routine bedtime kiss. These aren't cliches to Taurus and Virgo, they're emotional rituals, proof of commitment. In times of stress, they're especially powerful together. Virgo brings planning, crisis management, and thoughtful strategy. Taurus brings calm, physical comfort, and steadiness. Emotionally, they offer what the other lacks, but craves. Virgo helps Taurus put words to feelings. Taurus helps Virgo feel without having to explain. They also grow each other emotionally. Virgo learns that not everything must be fixed, some feelings are meant to be experienced. Taurus learns that communication doesn't mean vulnerability, it means connection. Over time, they help each other expand beyond their default emotional styles, creating a mature, nourishing emotional life. Ultimately, the emotional dynamic between Taurus and Virgo is like a deep, subterranean river, quiet but powerful, invisible to many, but essential for life. It's not dramatic, it's not chaotic, but it is lasting. And for two signs who value realness over romance novel fantasy, it's a love that feels like exactly what it should, honest, grounded, and whole. Long-term compatibility. If there's a zodiac couple you'd bet on for the long haul, it's Taurus and Virgo. This pairing doesn't just promise longevity, it almost demands it. These two earth signs were born to build something lasting, meaningful, and rooted in shared purpose. While they might not be the flashiest or most explosive match in the zodiac, they are, without a doubt, one of the most sustainable. The strength of their connection lies in how deeply aligned they are on the core values that truly matter in a long-term relationship: stability, loyalty, trust, and practicality. Taurus is the zodiac's builder. Once committed, they aren't going anywhere. They take relationships seriously, never entering them lightly, and they view love as an investment of time, energy, and heart. Ruled by Venus, Taurus values beauty and comfort, yes, but not in a superficial way. What Taurus seeks is emotional permanence, a bond that grows deeper through shared experiences and proven loyalty. To a Taurus man, love isn't a feeling, it's a foundation. He wants something solid, something real, and something that will weather every storm life throws at it. Virgo, ruled by Mercury, is the analyst and the improver. They are constantly assessing situations, including relationships, to ensure that everything runs smoothly and efficiently. A Virgo woman doesn't jump blindly into commitment, she wants to be sure. She needs time to observe, to understand the dynamics, and to know that her potential partner has the capacity for growth, integrity, and shared effort. But once she sees those qualities in a Taurus man, her emotional wall begins to soften. She begins to open, slowly but surely, allowing her guarded heart to invest in a bond she now believes can last a lifetime. Together, Taurus and Virgo are masters of the long game. They're both planners. They approach major life decisions, moving in, getting married, starting a family, not with reckless abandon, but with intention. There are spreadsheets, budgets, conversations, long walks where they talk through, what would it look like in 5 years? Neither is in a rush because neither is afraid to wait for the right conditions. When they do make decisions, they do so not out of impulse, but because they see true potential in each other. That shared deliberateness is part of what makes this couple so enduring. The Taurus man brings patience, emotional resilience, and a commitment to follow through. He may not always be the most communicative partner, but his love is shown in consistency. He shows up every single day. Virgo, in turn, brings structure, attention to detail, and a quiet strength that elevates the relationship into something more than just comfortable. It becomes optimized. While Taurus holds the vision of what they want their life to feel like, Virgo works behind the scenes to make sure it functions at its highest level. It's not just love, it's a team effort. Flip the script, and the dynamic still works beautifully. A Virgo man tends to think strategically about love. He evaluates, he plans, he asks questions others might miss. He's not trying to poke holes in things, he's trying to ensure long-term sustainability. A Taurus woman, meanwhile, offers him grounding. Her emotional steadiness, her loyalty, and her commitment to quality of life create an environment in which the Virgo man can fully flourish. She's not intimidated by his mental precision, she admires it. And he, in turn, is moved by her unwavering presence and her rare ability to find beauty in life's smallest moments. As a couple, they operate like a well-run household or business. Virgo takes care of logistics, schedules, finances, the finer points of health and organization. Taurus ensures that the emotional temperature of the home is calm, nurturing, and grounded. Where Virgo creates routines, Taurus turns those routines into rituals. They don't just have dinner, they light a candle. They don't just clean the house, they make it a sanctuary. This mutual enhancement makes them a quietly powerful force. People may not always understand what makes them so unshakable, but those who know them see the magic in how they complement one another. That said, no relationship is perfect, and even these two have their rough patches. Taurus can be notoriously stubborn. Once their mind is made up, changing it can feel like trying to move a mountain. Virgo, on the other hand, is mutable and prefers flexibility. They want options, upgrades, constant improvement. This contrast can lead to tension. A Virgo might try to fine-tune a routine Taurus believes is already working perfectly. Taurus may perceive this as unnecessary meddling, while Virgo may see Taurus's resistance as emotional stagnation. Similarly, Virgo's perfectionism, while well-intentioned, can wear on Taurus, who values peace over critique. Taurus doesn't want every conversation to be a project. They want to relax. They want emotional security, not continuous evaluation. Virgo, while striving to be helpful, can sometimes cross the line into micromanaging. Learning when to step back and trust the process is a lesson Virgo must embrace in this dynamic. Despite these challenges, their shared earth element is what ultimately holds them together. Both Taurus and Virgo are naturally grounded, which means even their conflicts tend to be practical rather than explosive. They don't yell, they discuss. They don't walk away, they problem solve. Even in their worst moments, both are deeply aware that relationships require maintenance, and neither is afraid to put in the effort. They'd rather go to couples counseling than file for divorce. They'd rather adjust course than abandon ship. Over time, this couple tends to age beautifully together. In their youth, they might focus on setting up financial security, career development, or building a home. In midlife, they become focused on fine-tuning their shared values, nurturing extended family, and developing meaningful traditions. And in later life, they become the kind of couple others admire, steady, wise, and clearly still in love. Theirs is a romance that doesn't fade but matures into something rare. A love that still grows, even decades in. Children, if they choose to have them, will likely grow up in a stable, well-organized home where both routine and affection are foundational. Taurus provides emotional nurturing and comfort, while Virgo ensures the intellectual and practical side of parenting is handled with care. Together, they raise not just children, but thoughtful, grounded individuals. Their home becomes a place of safety and tradition, where values are lived, not just taught. In a professional or entrepreneurial sense, Taurus and Virgo also shine. They often make incredible business partners or co-creators. Virgo handles the numbers, the systems, the optimization. Taurus brings taste, style, branding, and customer relationships. Whether they're opening a bakery, running a wellness brand, or simply managing investments, they trust each other's expertise and work like clockwork when united under a shared vision. Emotionally, they both value exclusivity and depth. Flings and surface-level flirtations are not their style. When they commit, it's with intention, and often, forever. They don't chase passion for its own sake. They build passion over time, with care and devotion. It's not about adrenaline, it's about intimacy. In the end, long-term compatibility between Taurus and Virgo is rooted in something beautifully simple: the shared desire to create a life of meaning, structure, and emotional reliability. They want peace, not drama; depth, not chaos; progress, not perfection. And when two people with that kind of emotional discipline, patience, and maturity come together, they don't just survive the long haul, they thrive in it. Their relationship becomes not just a part of their life, but the foundation of everything else they build. And that's the kind of love story that truly stands the test of time. Communication conflict resolution. Communication and conflict resolution between Taurus and Virgo isn't loud, impulsive, or chaotic. It's not about slamming doors or shouting matches, it's about navigating tension with a deep, shared desire for resolution and respect. Both signs are earth elements, which means they prefer grounded, practical communication. But even with that shared foundation, their natural approaches to expressing thoughts and handling disagreement are different in tone, pace, and delivery. And it's within these nuanced differences that both challenges and breakthroughs are born. Taurus is famously calm, composed, and patient when it comes to dialogue. They don't interrupt, they rarely escalate, and they don't need to win every argument. What they do need, however, is to feel emotionally safe. They prefer conversations that are rooted in mutual respect, not criticism or pressure. Taurus tends to communicate in a quiet, deliberate way, choosing their words with care, allowing silence to do half the talking. They're not quick to speak in emotional outbursts, but that doesn't mean they don't feel deeply. On the contrary, the quieter a Taurus becomes during conflict, the more emotional weight they may be carrying beneath the surface. Virgo, ruled by Mercury, the planet of intellect and communication, brings a sharp, articulate mind to every conversation. They don't shy away from discussing what's wrong. In fact, Virgo often sees communication as a tool for improvement. Constructive criticism, to them, is an act of love. If they're pointing something out, it's because they want the relationship to work better. But this well-intended feedback can land as overly analytical or even harsh to a sensitive Taurus, who might interpret it as a lack of appreciation for what's already working. While Virgo believes they're offering clarity, Taurus may feel like they're being picked apart. So what happens when a disagreement occurs? Let's begin with the Taurus man and Virgo woman. If the Virgo woman brings up an issue, maybe the dishes weren't done, or Taurus forgot a plan she reminded him about, she'll likely start with calm, factual observations. But if she senses indifference or hears silence in response, she might double down. Her tone may sharpen, she may become more specific, trying to fix what she sees as a problem. Taurus, however, may hear this as criticism and feel attacked. That triggers his stubbornness. Instead of responding, he might retreat emotionally or dig his heels in deeper, holding his ground through passive resistance. This dynamic can lead to a frustrating feedback loop, Virgo trying harder to clarify, Taurus becoming increasingly unmovable. Virgo wants change, Taurus wants peace, but if peace comes at the cost of feeling misunderstood, Taurus may stop communicating altogether, burying hurt feelings beneath a surface of calm. That's when things get tricky. Because for both signs, emotional withdrawal is a danger zone, not explosive but slowly corrosive. The key to resolution lies in translation. Virgo needs to learn that their critique, no matter how rational, must be delivered with softness. Tone matters, timing matters, leading with appreciation instead of correction makes all the difference. I love how thoughtful you are. Can we talk about something that's been on my mind? Works better than, why didn't you do what I asked? Taurus, meanwhile, must learn not to personalize every correction. Virgo isn't trying to shame, they're trying to engage. A small shift in perspective turns conflict into collaboration. Now let's flip the pairing. A Virgo man and Taurus woman have a similar pattern, but the emotional dynamics shift slightly. The Taurus woman, while typically steady, tends to be more vocal about her emotional needs. If she feels dismissed, underappreciated, or neglected, she'll say something, maybe not in a fiery way, but with emotional weight. She might express frustration through subtle sarcasm, long silences, or a sudden change in tone. Virgo, ever analytical, may not register the emotion beneath the words. He may go into problem-solving mode, offering logical explanations instead of emotional validation. This can cause the Taurus woman to feel unheard. She doesn't want a fix, she wants to be understood. And Virgo, who believes he's being helpful, may grow frustrated at the lack of resolution. In turn, he may shut down emotionally, feeling overwhelmed or unsure how to respond to a flood of feelings he wasn't expecting. Again, the cycle begins. Taurus wants a heartfelt connection. Virgo wants clarity. Neither gets what they need unless they shift their approach. But here's the beauty of this pairing. Both signs hate giving up. They are not flighty. They don't threaten to walk away. They don't use manipulation to get their way. They're grounded, invested, and willing to put in the work. That's their shared superpower. Taurus values loyalty above all, and Virgo values improvement. When they apply those values to their communication, they build a style that's not only effective, it's uniquely their own. Over time, many Taurus-Virgo couples develop a subtle, intuitive rhythm. They learn to read each other's moods before words are even spoken. Taurus begins to recognize that Virgo's feedback comes from a place of love. Virgo, in turn, softens their tone, learns to pause, to ask rather than tell. And together, they create a space where both feelings and thoughts are honored. It doesn't happen overnight, but when it does, it's deeply healing. It's also worth noting that Taurus and Virgo are not drawn to drama. They prefer low-conflict lifestyles, and they don't enjoy arguments that go in circles. So when a fight does happen, it feels serious. But they're also more likely than most couples to reflect after an argument. Virgo will run through the conversation in their head, replaying what could have been said better. Taurus will think deeply about how the conflict felt emotionally. Neither is reckless with words. They remember what was said and take it to heart. This makes accountability a big part of their resolution process. Apologies, when they happen, are meaningful. Virgo may be the first to initiate, especially if they realize their words landed too harshly. Taurus, though slow to admit fault, will eventually come around when they see genuine remorse. They don't need grand gestures, they just need sincerity. A heartfelt apology, a warm embrace, and a recommitment to understanding each other usually put them back on track. Another essential piece is their shared sense of time. Both Taurus and Virgo understand that good communication isn't a one-time thing, it's an ongoing process. They don't expect perfection, but they do expect progress. They're willing to revisit old wounds if it means healing them fully. They're open to learning each other's triggers, growing more emotionally literate over time. And once they find that emotional fluency, they become a couple that resolves conflict not just well, but beautifully. They also develop unspoken systems. For instance, Virgo might learn that when Taurus goes quiet, they need space, not pressure. And Taurus might recognize that when Virgo asks a series of questions, it's not interrogation, it's engagement. These small insights form the scaffolding of a long-lasting communication style that's as strong as it is subtle. In the end, the communication and conflict resolution between Taurus and Virgo reflects their essence: mature, grounded, thoughtful, and quietly powerful. They may not always get it right on the first try, but they always return to the conversation. They listen more than they speak. They think before they react. And they never, ever take each other's presence for granted. That kind of communication doesn't just solve problems, it builds trust. And trust, once built between Taurus and Virgo, is a fortress few can shake. Physical intimate connection. Let's just say this: when Earth meets Earth in the bedroom, the connection is deep, sensual, and surprisingly passionate. What may seem calm or even conservative on the surface between Taurus and Virgo can transform behind closed doors into a layered and fulfilling physical bond that only deepens with time. This is not a fast-burning fire that flares up and fades. It's a slow, smoldering flame that gets warmer, richer, and more nuanced with every passing moment. For Taurus and Virgo, physical intimacy isn't about showmanship or raw spontaneity. It's about connection, presence, and mutual trust. Their shared earth element brings groundedness, and in the bedroom, that translates to sensual authenticity. Taurus is innately sensual. Ruled by Venus, they have an acute awareness of the physical world. The textures of fabric, the sound of a lover's voice in the quiet, the curve of a hand, the smell of clean skin. Touch isn't just a bonus for Taurus, it's a language. Whether male or female, Taurus doesn't rush intimacy. They take their time. They want to explore the experience with all five senses fully engaged. Sex, for Taurus, is a ritual of affection, not just an act. It must feel safe, meaningful, and beautiful. They want to please and be pleased, and they are in no hurry. They are patient lovers who bring warmth, comfort, and endurance into every encounter. Virgo, though often labeled as reserved or even repressed in popular astrology, harbors a different reality behind the scenes. Beneath their analytical, composed exterior lies a lover who is deeply curious, giving, and aware. Virgo's sexual desire is tied to emotional and intellectual trust. They won't open up to just anyone, but when they do feel safe, when they trust their partner and believe their heart is protected, their sensuality emerges in full. Virgo's attention to detail carries into the bedroom. They pay attention to subtle cues, notice what pleases, and genuinely want to improve the shared experience. For Virgo, physical intimacy is both a service and a gift. It is a demonstration of devotion as much as desire. When a Taurus man and Virgo woman come together physically, the result is intimacy layered with both passion and emotional care. She may take time to let down her guard, but Taurus doesn't mind. He waits. He seduces through consistency and tenderness, not pressure. The Virgo woman, once she realizes she is not being judged or rushed, begins to surrender control. She lets go of the mental checklist and starts to feel. Taurus gives her permission to exist in the moment. He grounds her body while she awakens his mind to the beauty of intentional, considered lovemaking. He brings steadiness and intensity, while she brings sensitivity and adaptability. Their intimacy becomes a space where both can breathe, be, and evolve. Flip the dynamic, and the magic holds. The Virgo man, with his natural thoughtfulness and subtle intensity, is a deeply attentive lover. He doesn't guess, he studies. He may not be bold in his expressions of desire early on, but once trust is earned, he becomes surprisingly adventurous. Not in a reckless way, but in a precise, deeply satisfying way. He pays attention. He asks without speaking. He adjusts. He watches. The Taurus woman, in turn, responds with fire. She offers physical warmth that goes far beyond surface attraction. She craves emotional connection through touch and gives generously once she feels appreciated. With him, she feels seen and respected. With her, he feels held and cherished. Together, they co-create a deeply emotional, physically gratifying union that nourishes both the body and the heart. Their shared preference for consistency over chaos means that their physical relationship often follows a rhythm. This doesn't mean it's boring, it means it's trustworthy. They know what the other likes. They establish rituals. They find a language of touch that becomes as familiar and comforting as a well-loved song. This repetition isn't mundane, it's intimate. It's a deepening of a shared experience. And from time to time, when they do decide to surprise one another, it's not out of boredom but because they know each other well enough to take beautiful, deliberate risks. This couple rarely engages in casual physical intimacy. For Taurus and Virgo, sex isn't separate from the rest of the relationship, it reflects it. If trust is strong, their physical connection is vibrant. If communication is healthy, their intimacy is more creative. If there's emotional distance, sex becomes less satisfying, not because they're uninterested, but because they can't separate heart from body. This mutual value system allows their physical connection to be a barometer for the emotional temperature of the relationship. Their bedroom preferences tend to align remarkably well. Both prefer quality over quantity. They enjoy environments that are comfortable, clean, beautiful, and private. Neither is likely to be loud or performative. What they create together in intimacy is sacred, protected from the outside world. They're more about deep eye contact than flashy moves, more about shared breath than spontaneous acrobatics. But don't mistake that for a lack of intensity. Their fire is slow, but it burns hot, and it endures. Taurus brings the sensuality, the grounding, and the patience. Virgo brings the attentiveness, the subtlety, and the desire to refine. Their combination of traits makes them ideal physical partners. They are both loyal and selective. They don't rush into physical intimacy, but once they commit, their bond becomes part of their emotional fabric. Every touch, every kiss, every shared night becomes a continuation of their emotional story. They also grow over time. Their physical chemistry doesn't plateau, it evolves. Because Virgo is constantly refining and Taurus is endlessly devoted, they keep learning each other's bodies long after the honeymoon phase. They are not interested in novelty for its own sake, but they are interested in deepening pleasure, in learning what feels good and how to make it feel better. In that sense, their intimacy is alive. It's responsive, it's tailored, not templated. Even when life gets busy, children, careers, health changes, they return to their physical connection like a sacred reset button. For Taurus and Virgo, physical intimacy is not just about satisfaction. It's a source of grounding, a reaffirmation of their commitment, a way to reconnect without having to use words. It becomes a tool for healing when words fail, and a space where both can be vulnerable without judgment. In conflict, this physical bond often becomes a bridge. After a disagreement, a simple touch or an embrace can say what neither knows how to verbalize. That mutual understanding, that ability to reach each other through the body, becomes one of the most stabilizing factors in their relationship. It reminds them of who they are to one another, not just in words, but in skin, breath, presence, and energy. Ultimately, the physical and intimate connection between Taurus and Virgo is a beautiful paradox, subtle yet powerful, structured yet passionate, consistent yet endlessly unfolding. It may not grab attention from the outside world, but on the inside, it's one of the richest, most nourishing physical bonds in the zodiac. Quiet, yes, but never cold. And with every passing year, it only gets better. Shared values, life goals. This is where Taurus and Virgo really shine. When it comes to long-term alignment, shared ideals, and a vision for the future that's both practical and meaningful, few pairings in the zodiac are as naturally in sync as Taurus and Virgo. From the outside, they might appear like the couple who have it all together, and that's because, in many ways, they truly do. They're not in it for fantasy, not chasing empty highs or image-driven goals. Instead, what unites them is a deep, grounded agreement on what matters most in life: security, loyalty, work ethic, and steady personal and relational growth. Both Taurus and Virgo crave security, not just financially, though that's a significant component, but also emotional and logistical security. Taurus needs to feel safe, materially and emotionally. They want a stable home, a solid income, predictable routines, and a partner who's always there when it counts. Virgo, while more adaptable by nature, also thrives within structure and plans. They are not chaotic souls. They find deep comfort in knowing what comes next, in having their calendars mapped out, and in relying on a partner who is consistent and trustworthy. Together, they become excellent stewards of shared resources. They plan well, save wisely, and spend purposefully. Whether it's budgeting for a home, saving for a child's education, or simply knowing that there's gas in the car and groceries in the fridge, these two feel most loved and most loving when they know life is in order. Loyalty is another pillar that holds their bond steady. Once committed, both Taurus and Virgo are incredibly faithful. They don't take promises lightly. Taurus especially is known for being all in once they decide to stay, and Virgo, who can be slow to trust, becomes fiercely devoted once that trust is earned. This makes betrayal or flakiness deal breakers for them both, which is why they so often seek one another. There's a silent agreement in this relationship: we're in it for real. They don't have to perform loyalty, it's in their nature. The Taurus man will go to the ends of the earth for the woman he's chosen. The Virgo woman will stand by him in quiet, unwavering support. And when reversed, the Virgo man offers consistent dedication, while the Taurus woman creates emotional shelter and profound stability. Their loyalty isn't about obligation, it's about a deep-seated belief in the life they are building together. Perhaps one of the most powerful shared values between Taurus and Virgo is work ethic. These two do not shy away from effort. Taurus is persistent and steady, often working behind the scenes to create a life of tangible comfort and success. They don't rush, but they don't stop either. Virgo, on the other hand, is detail-oriented, driven by perfection and improvement. They may stress over the little things, but that's because they care. They care deeply. Virgo's diligence complements Taurus's dependability. They push each other, but not in competitive ways. Virgo helps Taurus tighten up and refine. Taurus helps Virgo relax into consistency and sustainability. Together, they work harder and smarter than most couples. They're the type to tackle weekend projects together, support each other's professional goals, and celebrate achievements not with parties, but with peace, knowing they earned every inch of success side by side. Their shared value of growth shows up differently for each, but harmonizes beautifully when aligned. Virgo's version of growth is evolution. They're lifelong learners, always seeking to understand more about themselves, their partner, and the world around them. They believe in self-improvement, wellness, and emotional maturity. Taurus's growth is more external and often tied to building. They want to create a beautiful home, a solid financial foundation, a loving family, a life that stands the test of time. Virgo says, let's grow internally. Taurus says, let's grow something real. Together, they don't just dream, they do. Virgo motivates Taurus to keep learning, to examine their inner world. Taurus motivates Virgo to stop spinning and start planting, to build something solid from their ideas. It's one of the healthiest growth dynamics in astrology. When a Taurus man and Virgo woman decide to build a life together, it tends to be rooted in quality. These two aren't flashy, but their world is often quietly beautiful. Think cozy, curated spaces, a love of comfort that doesn't compromise elegance, well-cooked meals, carefully chosen furniture, and shared rituals. They thrive in domestic settings where their love of planning, care, and beauty can flourish. Their home becomes a reflection of who they are, calm, intentional, and deeply lived in. Together, they might prioritize long-term financial goals, family planning, or slowly expanding a shared business or creative project. He builds with his hands and heart. She refines the vision, and through it all, they make each other feel safe, seen, and secure. With a Virgo man and Taurus woman, the goals are equally aligned but may be approached from a slightly different lens. The Virgo man is often a thinker, focused on the details of career advancement or long-term efficiency. He wants a partner who understands his drive but also reminds him to step back and enjoy the fruits of his labor. The Taurus woman is deeply nurturing. She may value emotional comfort and physical beauty, creating a home that feels like a sanctuary from the noise of the world. Together, they find balance. He brings the blueprint, she brings the atmosphere. He ensures structure and purpose, she ensures warmth and meaning. Their life becomes a marriage of logic and love, of precision and pleasure. Both Taurus and Virgo are incredibly realistic in their expectations. They don't fall for fairy tales. They know that life is hard work, that relationships require patience and maintenance. This practical attitude prevents many of the disillusionments that other couples face. They're not disheartened by rough patches, they expect them. And more importantly, they plan for them. They're the couple who sets up joint calendars, who communicate about household responsibilities, who know where every dollar is going and why. This kind of intentionality turns goals into realities. Even in how they approach parenting, health, and daily routines, Taurus and Virgo find common ground. They both believe in structure, in nurturing routines, in protecting what they value most. They don't just raise kids, they raise citizens. They don't just cook meals, they make mealtime a ritual. They don't just pay bills, they build wealth. There's integrity in everything they do together. Perhaps most significantly, they build trust not only through actions but through aligned vision. They see the future through the same lens, not as a fantasy, but as a blueprint to be crafted with care. They want comfort, not chaos. Depth, not drama. And in each other, they find not just a partner, but a co-architect of a life that's grounded in mutual respect, shared goals, and enduring love. Their dreams aren't based on luck, they're built on effort, trust, and time. And when Taurus and Virgo link hands to walk into the future, it's not a race, it's a pilgrimage. Steady, sacred, and beautifully aligned from start to finish. Final thoughts. Taurus and Virgo may not be the flashiest couple in the zodiac, but they might just be the most solid. In a world obsessed with instant gratification and grand gestures, their quiet, intentional connection may be easy to overlook, but it's precisely that quietness that makes it so powerful. Their love doesn't shout, it doesn't need to. It speaks through consistency, presence, patience, and the kind of mutual respect that deepens over time. Their relationship is like a well-tended garden, nothing hurried, nothing wasted. Every seed is planted with purpose, every moment is cultivated with care. And when it blooms, it's not just beautiful, it's lasting. What makes their bond so rare is not just compatibility, but commitment. Both Taurus and Virgo come into relationships with a realistic understanding of what love requires. They're not here for a roller coaster, they're here to build a life. They understand that love isn't always about butterflies and fireworks. Sometimes, love looks like a stocked fridge, like coming home to a clean, quiet space, like your partner remembering the little thing you mentioned weeks ago. For Taurus and Virgo, the small acts are the grand gestures, and those small acts, repeated daily, create a foundation that's nearly unshakable. Of course, no couple is without their challenges, and this one is no exception. Taurus can be incredibly stubborn. When they believe they're right, it's nearly impossible to get them to budge. They may dig in their heels and refuse to move forward until they feel fully understood or emotionally safe. Virgo, on the other hand, often walks a fine line between helpful and hypercritical. Their desire to improve things can come across as nitpicking or dissatisfaction, especially to a Taurus who sees stability as something to be preserved, not constantly restructured. Yet despite these tensions, something incredible happens when Taurus and Virgo decide they're in it for the long run. They grow together. They learn how to speak each other's language. Taurus discovers that not every suggestion from Virgo is a personal attack, it's often an invitation to deepen the connection. Virgo learns that Taurus's need for peace and routine isn't a sign of complacency, it's a way of creating emotional security. They stop trying to change each other and start appreciating the strengths each brings to the relationship. That's when the magic begins. In the dynamic of a Taurus man and Virgo woman, you often see the strong, silent protector matched with the quietly brilliant strategist. He brings grounded energy, a calming presence, and unwavering devotion. She brings focus, insight, and emotional intelligence. Together, they create a partnership that feels balanced and built to last. He anchors her when her thoughts spiral. She inspires him when he gets stuck in patterns. They may not be the couple posting romantic selfies every day, but they're the ones who show up, for each other, and for the life they're building together. Reversing the roles, the Virgo man and Taurus woman are equally powerful. He is thoughtful, observant, and principled. She is warm, grounded, and fiercely loyal. She teaches him how to slow down and enjoy the moment, while he helps her see new perspectives and pathways she might have missed. His mental precision complements her emotional depth. Together, they create a love that feels deeply intelligent and deeply safe. They don't just enjoy being together, they make each other better. Their emotional world may be quieter than most, but it's no less rich. It's filled with late-night conversations about future goals, perfectly planned weekend getaways, and shared routines that feel more sacred than spontaneous. Their communication grows deeper over time, not just through words but through understanding. They start to anticipate each other's needs without speaking. They learn how to offer comfort, how to hold space, how to truly be present. That level of emotional intimacy doesn't happen by accident, it's earned through trust, time, and genuine effort. Physically, their connection is grounded in presence and consistency. Taurus brings a sensual awareness to the relationship, while Virgo brings attentiveness and an appreciation for detail. They may not be the most experimental couple in the zodiac, but what they lack in novelty, they make up for in emotional depth and physical trust. Their intimacy is not about conquest, it's about communion. It becomes another language they speak fluently together, another layer of their already strong bond. What's also unique about Taurus and Virgo is their shared appreciation for a life well lived. They both value quality over quantity. They're not interested in showy lifestyles or drama-fueled relationships. They want a home that feels peaceful, a partner who feels like home, and a future that's carefully crafted. They may not be impulsive, but when they do make decisions together, those decisions stick. They invest in what matters, and what matters, more than anything, is each other. Even in moments of difficulty, They rarely threaten to leave or give ultimatums. That's not their style. They are the couple who takes time to cool down, then sits at the kitchen table and talks it through. Who makes plans to see a therapist not because they're falling apart, but because they care enough to grow stronger. They treat their love like something sacred, not disposable. That kind of reverence is rare and beautiful. Not everyone will understand their quiet magic. They're not going to be the ones making dramatic entrances or public declarations of love. But those who spend time around them will sense the depth. They'll see the way Taurus steadies Virgo's nerves with a single glance. The way Virgo lightens Taurus's emotional load with a softly spoken truth. The way they move through the world with a kind of synchronized rhythm, as if they've been dancing together their whole lives, even if they only met a few months ago. Their connection is more than compatibility, it's a shared philosophy, a belief in hard work, emotional responsibility, and loyalty that doesn't waver with time. They believe in effort, not just chemistry. In building something, not just feeling something. That's why, when these two choose each other, it's rarely a phase, it's a future. So, whether it's Taurus man and Virgo woman, or Virgo man and Taurus woman, one thing is clear. This isn't a relationship that fizzles out. It's one that builds, that grows, that lasts, not because it's perfect, but because it's intentional. Because it's based on truth, care, and a mutual desire to build a life that feels real, rooted, and truly shared. And that, in the end, is the kind of love worth holding on to. If you found this deep dive fascinating, don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out more videos on zodiac compatibility, emotional dynamics, and relationship tips. Follow us on social media and hit the bell so you never miss an update. Your perfect match might just be one video away.